using Xrefs, viewports, and kind of a model philosophy. I have talked about this before, but what we're going to do is we're going to kind of create some things. I did this with Brandon. I made him do something with similar to this earlier, but I'm going to do it again just so we kind of get understanding of building a model. All right, so we're going to basically come together. We're going to build something. All right, we're going to. I'm going to draw a building. Okay, great. Boom. I'm going to say it's 1,200. It's 100 feet long. Boom. At 600 feet or 50 feet tall. 90 at 1,200 at 180 and close. Boom. What I did there is you notice I did 100 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet, and closed. Okay, that's my building. We'll go and offset that by 4 inches to kind of give it an idea of, building inside here. I'm going to go draw a line from the mid of here, across here to give me a center line. I'm going to go take this and just kind of extend it out a little bit so it kind of goes past the building. That's my center line, my roof, whatever you want to call it. All right. I do need, let's say I want some columns or something like that in there. Okay. I'm going to actually sneak over here and grab this column block, which is okay, but not great. Okay. I'm going to copy Control-Shift-C from mid. I'm actually going to stretch this. I'm going to fix this real quick. You can feel free to understand what I'm doing here.
Yes. Oh, that's mine. Okay.
I see. It is yours. Yes, sir. All right. See this right here? This is the line. That's the middle from this line to here. Okay. The beam should be right in the middle of this. It's not. That's one thing you fucked up, Cody. From M to P, I'm going to use M to P of E and D point of this and E and D point of this to go to perpendicular to this here. So now that's right in the middle of the beam. Now I'm going to move this.
I see what I did wrong.
Yeah. Move this from mid of this to 0.00. Boom, boom. All right. Now Control-Shift-C from 0.0. Boom. I'm just going to grab this. I'm not even going to use it as a block. I'm going to use it. Oh, it's actually P lines. Okay. P edit. I'm going to go ahead and join all this together. Y to join and join everything except that line up here there. And now it should be all one piece. All right, now Control-Shift-C from mid of that. Boom. Now I've got the whole thing. I'm going to place that over here in my drawing. Okay, Control-V. No, Control-V. And I'm going to place that at the INT of that there. I'm going to move this over here 6 inches. Boom. I'm going to move it away from the wall 6 inches. Boom. All right, now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to mirror this. Boom, from mid of here, boom. And I'm going to do the same thing from mid of here to here, boom. All right, so I have my 4 corners, okay? This is not an accurate building in any way, shape, or form. I'm just kind of creating something for us, okay? I'm going to copy from here. I'm going to go over here, 2,400, boom. Oh, not 2,400, I'm 240, 240, boom, 480, boom. And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to come back, work my way back, 240 and 480, boom. All right, so that's pretty close to exactly what I want. This is not 20 feet between these two, but it's pretty good. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a layer, and I'm going to create a layer called steel. And let's set that to a color of, let's go with yellow. Boom, pick OK. All right, close that out. And I'm going to put all those beams on that layer. Boom, highlight those and highlight those. What I did is I cheated because I used window to select these. I don't have to worry about selecting anything else. So I just selected all the way up to here, and then I selected just a small window here. If I'd tried to get all of them in, I'd probably grab some of the lines I don't want. And so that's why I did it that way. I'll do that again. I'm going to come across here, drag here, boom, I get those, and then I drag across here, get these. That means I'm not selecting these lines. I'm not having to remove those lines. It's just nice and quick. 2 points, and I'm done, rather than click, 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 click. Okay, so that's kind of where you want to understand how you can select things a little bit quicker and start working on your selection methods to help you move a little faster in your CAD. All right, so I've selected those. I'm going to go ahead and put those on the appropriate layer, steel layer. I'm good with that. I'm going to create another layer called walls or building. I'll just call it building. All right, we're gonna put that on let's go with a green layer, okay? Boom, and boom. I'm gonna highlight that by dragging right there across that. I didn't select any columns. And now I'll put that on building. All right, so now I have my wall, the building's here as well. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and create some piping. All right, say I have some piping coming into this building. I'm going to go P line, and I'm just going to draw pipe coming in here, going into here, boom. And then I'm going to draw another pipe coming. I'm actually going to mirror this line here, from just say about here, boom. And I'm going to do something similar to this, mirror these two from mid of here. Boom. I'm going to pretend I have like a compressor or something like that I'm bringing these in here for. Okay. I have two of these lines in here. I don't need those. Okay. I'm going to trim this one, trim that. Okay. So now I have this one coming across here, and that's fine. I'm going to bring these lines down here. And I'm not making any sense with the piping or anything like that, or even attempting anything like that. Okay. I'm going to bring that to perpendicular here because I want these lines to match up. Okay, and I'm going to bring these. These are going to stay right here. I'm just going to fill these to a 0. Boom, boom. All right. Now, let's just say we're going in, boom, and then that's double compression. Don't really want to do that, but that's okay. Let's call it, yeah, the end line, inlet and a discharge. I'm not really making any sense with this. I'm just throwing some crap out here. Okay. Let's actually, actually, let's just do this a little bit differently. Let's go ahead and I'm going to explode these polylines. And I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'm going to cut, this is going to be, one line here, comes across here, these T into that. And this is going to be another line. Boom. I'll take this one, extend this down here like so. Okay, makes a little more sense. Now I'm going to make this pipe and call it, say it's all 24-inch pipe, so it's going to have 12-inch diameter. Boom. And I'm going to copy a few of these. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and what I'm going to do is use a sweep command. Actually, I'm drawing in 2D and 3D here, so I'm going to kind of cheat here and throw in some 3D. I'm going to use the sweep command, and the object I'm going to sweep is this right here, and I'm going to sweep it down this path right here. Boom. Oops, I messed that up. Sweep, pick the object, enter, and then pick what you want to sweep it across. It draws that down. I'm going to do the same thing here, then to here, boom, and I'm going to do the same thing here to here, boom. I'm going to do the same thing here to here, boom. I'm going to do the same thing to here to here, boom. And same thing from here, boom, and here. Okay. What that does, it creates my 3D model here. Okay. To pretend this is actually pipe. It's not. All right. Layer. I'm going to create a layer called pipe. All right. And I'm going to make this magenta. Boom. I'm going to put all my pipe on that layer. I'm going to right click here and say select similar. It gets all my 3D solids that are on the 0 layer, and I'm good. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that to pipe, and I'm good. All right, so I have some pipe going in there. I'm going to raise this stuff up. Now, if you notice this is actually penetrating through here or whatever, I'm going to move and create an offset here. This pipe is going to be up a little higher. We're going to see if you notice down here around my cursor, you see it going in the Z direction, the plus Z direction. Okay, if I drag down, it's going the minus Z direction. If I do a little bit differently, it's going the 270, which is going to be on the Y direction. And this way is going to be the X direction. Now, if you notice, it doesn't tell you X and Y. It just tells you if you're actually going in the Z. All right, so note that when you're actually moving these things, you want to actually type in the direction you're going. I want to take this one up, and I'm going to take it up 36 inches. Okay, it gives me plenty of clearance above that other line. All right, this is not real piping, just so you know. All right, another thing I can do, I can go ahead and extrude this building. I'll go ahead and extrude this, and I'll go ahead and extrude it up 240, 20 feet. Okay, and oops, I must have missed one. Boom, 240. Did I do here? No. Oh, here. Extrude. Oh, did I explode it? Did I explode it? No. Extrude. 240. Boom. All right, there it is. I'm going to put those on the right layer again because I'm on the 0 layer. That's why it's actually going through that layer. So these other ones I want to extrude up, but I want them to go to that layer. So I'm going to go ahead and set my layer here. Okay, so now I've actually set my layer. I set this active, so I'm going to highlight it over here, set it to steel. I could also do that over here on the home page. You actually set the steel layer here or in the properties dialog box. I'm going to extrude. Actually, I'm going to select, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to select this. I'm going to say select similar. Okay, select similar is right here by right clicking on it. Select similar. Once I've selected it and then right click on it, I can actually select similar. I can't talk very well right now. Now I'm going to extrude these. And I'm going to go ahead and extrude these up 240 for 10 feet as well. We're just kind of keeping everything at that 240 height and going from there. All right. So something about this building, if I shade this, it's actually solid. It's not hollow in the middle. So I want to actually subtract from this, subtract that. Okay, I missed on that. So I'm going to shade mode, set it back to 2D, and I'm going to subtract from the outside. I'm going to subtract the inside. Now, if I do this, I don't have a floor. I type in shade, you don't have a floor or anything like that, but I'm not overly concerned about that right now, guys. So we're just trying to create a couple of models for references. And notice my pipe is actually going through the bottom, so I'm going to move all this pipe up a little bit more. Boom. I'm going to take that up another 24 inches. All right, so now we're kind of penetrating through the bottom floor, and we'll pretend we have a piece of equipment in here. Let's go ahead and draw some equipment. I'm going to go ahead and P line. And we'll say our piece of equipment goes from here, and we'll say 180, and we'll go this way, 220, 180, close. Okay, layer, we'll create a layer. We'll call it equipment. Okay, I'm going to place that equipment layer, make the equipment layer a different color. We'll make that cyan. All right, and we'll close that out, get it out of the way. And now I'm going to change this to the equipment layer, and then I'm going to escape, and now I'm going to set the layer to the equipment layer. Boom. And now I'm going to extrude this. Let's just say 6 inches. Okay, because that's just going to be kind of the base for the piece of equipment. All right, so we don't actually have our piece of equipment, but we do have a foundation for our base of equipment to sit on. I'm going to go ahead and mirror this from the mid of here. Boom, cross there. And now I have both of them. We're all good. All right. So now I need some, let's say some cable tray or something like that floating through here. I'm going to cheat, draw some tray, and I'm going to draw my tray across this side of the building, and it's going to exit on this side of the building. All right. I'm going to make tray. This is not an AutoCAD command. This is my stuff, so don't worry about that. I'm just kind of laying it out there. And I'm going to grab that and move that up to about 200 inches. Good. Now it's up higher, and then we can actually put hang lights or whatever we need to do, route some cable trays or whatever, everything else. All right, now we look at this drawing here. We have several types of components. We have building, we have equipment, we have cable tray, and we have pipe. All right, so when you have a model like this, typically you have disciplines that work in, as individual groups. You'll have an electrical group, you'll have a mechanical group, you'll have a piping group, you'll have a steel or a structural group. All right. So oftentimes equipment is handled by equipment such as mechanical or things like be handled by piping as well. So we actually don't have any equipment here. So what we'll do is we'll draw some equipment and put that on its own layer as well. Structural will typically take care of this, the building, the steel, and these foundation pads right here, because structural takes care of steel, concrete, dirt work, and things like that. All right. Civil structural is typically what the discipline is actually called. All right. So what we can do here is I'm going to actually break these into individual models, because right now we have everything in one file. If structural wants to come in here and work on this file, they can't work on it because I'm in it. All right. So typically each group works on their own files, and you create a file that actually combines them all together via an Xrefs. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as we're going to create a folder, development CAD, boom, boom. Let's just go, let's go development. Let's go to AutoCAD class, and we'll create a new folder here, and we're going to call this model. All right, we're going to go in here, and I'm going to call this one complete. because this just has everything in it. Big model. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to actually take these and break these into individual pieces. All right. I can do this with a W block command. I can do this by save as and delete, save as and delete, save as and delete. I can do this in multiple different ways. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of show you a couple of different ways to do it. All right. Say I want to create a new drawing and just drop in the stuff. One thing I can do is I can click on the new drawing. I can click back into my model here. I can click on this and say right click. I can right click on it and say select similar. That's going to give me all my pipes. Oh, I messed up. Click. I was on the wrong thing. Right click over it. Select similar. All right. Now you can see all those there. If I hit Control Shift C from here and type in 0, 0, 0, boom. And now if I come over to just drawings and I do a Control V, 0, 0, 0, boom. Now you'll see those items are in this drawing here. Now this is my structural steel model. I might want to go ahead and include the building with this, okay? But I might not. But since this is a building, I am going to include that. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to Control Shift C from 0, 0, and I'm going to go ahead and pick my building as well. That's all I want in this building. Okay, Control V, 0, 0, boom. Now I'm going, no, 0, 0. Boom. Now, does it make sense? I'm going to Control save this. And since I haven't saved it, it's going to default to save as. So I'm going to just save and complete model. We're going to call this building model. All right. So now it's all in this is just what I had. I had the building. I have some tray because that was actually the current layer I was on. I don't really want that, but that's okay. So we're here. Good. So we've condensed this down to just what we want in this particular model. So that's good. I can close this one out. All right. Now I can actually erase these because I don't need them anymore because I have them in another file. I'm not going to save any more of this file. All right. Now I have, what is that? Oh, that's not my center line. I don't really need that. I'm not worried about that anymore. Okay. Now I'm going to move the tray out. I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to use the W block method here. I'm going to type in W block. And I'm going to pick the folder where it goes. It should be the folder that I'm actually in right now. I'm going to browse to that folder, go to documents, go to my Dropbox, and then I'm going to go down to development. And then I'm going to go down to AutoCAD class, go to my model folder, and I'm going to call this electrical model. Notice I'm not using spaces. Try and avoid using spaces in your file names, your block names, and things like that. They are waste of space and they add extra stuff you don't need. Be as concise with your models, names, and things like that as you possibly can. You can use dashes and underscores and things like that, but avoid special characters like our cars, like apostrophe and periods and things like that. All right, I'm going to save that and I'm going to select the objects. My insertion point is going to stay 0, 0, 0, so I'm good with that. So I'm going to select objects and it's just going to crossing this right here because that's my electrical stuff there. Now, you have a couple options. I'm going to say delete from drawing because I want it gone. Boom. Now that's gone. Now I've done that part. Now I need to actually get my pipe out. So what I can do here is save as. I'm going to cheat a different way here. I'm going to save as, and I'm going to call this piping model. All right. And now I'm just going to erase this and this. All right. All right. And now I can purge my drawing. Let's set the layer to 0. And I can purge my drawing. Control, close. All right. So now I just have the layer that I'm interested in here, pipe, and that's it. Boom. Now I can close this. Save changes. Yes, I've done my work. All right. Now I need to get the concrete pads. I'm going to go back to my complete model to steal that. All right. You don't want to ever save your complete model if you haven't gotten everything out of it. Okay. I'm going to do a Control Shift C from here, 0, 0, and I'm going to grab these 2 pads right here. And I'm going to drop those into a new drawing like we did the very first time. Control V, 0, 0, boom. And now we're good. Does it make sense? Save as. And we're going to call this concrete drawing, concrete model. if I can type. That's it. All right, good deal. All right, so we have our contour model. Close this. All right, so now we have our complete model. We're not actually using this file. This was just something I was using to show you guys get an idea what the complete model is supposed to look like. Now I'm going to build this complete model using the Xrefs or the models that we created. So I'm going to start a new drawing. I'm going to save this as, and I'm going to say overall model. Okay, or master. I'll go with master so you kind of get an idea of what it is. Master model. That means it contains everything in it, but it doesn't. A master model is typically only going to have in your Xrefs. I'm going to create a layer called Xref. Okay, Xref. And I don't care what color it is because it doesn't really matter. And that's going to be my current layer. And I'm going to double click on that to make that happen. I'm going to close this out and I'm going to type in the Xref command and I'm going to click over here and I'm going to attach. Now from here, I get the dialog box. In my documents folder, I actually want to browse to the correct folder. I'm going to Dropbox, go to my development folder and name, and I'm going to class, okay, class here and model. Now I want all these models with the exception of complete and master. I don't want master because I'm in master drawing. I'm going to pick open and it's going to attach all three of those. I'm using full path and attachment. Okay, we'll discuss that later, but for right now I'm sticking with the defaults that are set up on my machine at the moment. Pick OK. Now if I zoom extents, lo and behold, here's the exact same thing that we had over here. Okay, if I make a change over here, it's not going to show up in here because this is a dummy model. This is not going to be used anymore and will not be used anymore. Okay, so let's take that to granted. Let's show how that works. Let's cut a hole in this wall. We need a door. Okay, P line. I'm just to draw a P line this way. I'll say 72 inches. 6-foot door. I'm going to come across here. I'm going to say 6 inches. Then go back over here, 72, close. And I'm going to extrude this up. And I'm going to take that up to 96 inches for an 8-foot door. I'm going to move this from the mid of here to perpendicular to here. All right. So there it is. Now I subtract from this last. Boom. Now I have a hole. So if I save this now, control save. If I click over here on my master model, nothing was done to this. It doesn't. You don't see anything to look for updates or anything like that because I don't have that model in here. All right. I'm not trying to confuse you, but I'm trying to make sure you understand that this was something I was using to create all of these files. It is not. It's good, not good anymore. It's just like a sketch pad, and I'm not going to use it anymore. So I'm going to delete that, get that off the wheel, and we're going to call that done. We're not going to mess with that file anymore or anything like that. Okay, so now I need to cut my hole in the real door here. All right, so what do? I click on this. I can't modify this because it's an Xref, aka a block that's stored externally. I'm going to right click on it, and if you notice, I have open Xref. See this edit Xref in place thing? Don't ever use that. Okay, I'm just going to say don't use that, period. Okay, just understand, don't use it. Don't use it. Don't use it. Open Xref. I'm going to modify that file. Now, if I look in here, only thing that's in here is my building. So I want to cut a 6-foot door over here. Line from, I'm going to actually draw it right on the dealer here. I'm going to say from near here, and I'm going to say drag up here. I'm going to say 72 inches. Boom. And then I'm going to come across here 4 inches. And then I'm going to 72 inches and close. Boom. Now, if I wanted to move this a little more precise location, I could do that and move down to in here, and then I'd actually just move it up like 6 feet from here, whatever. I'm not worried about that right now. Okay, so I'm going to extrude this. I don't care what layer this is on. It doesn't really matter. But I'm going to stretch it up to 96, 8 feet. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and subtract. Subtract. If you can type. I'm going to subtract from the building. And now what am I subtracting? I'm subtracting this hole. Okay, now I have a hole. If I shade this, you can see it's there. Okay, so now if I click back over to my master model, nothing's updated. I don't have anything up here. I don't see anything's wrong. I can reload this building model. I can reload that and still nothing's happening. The only reason it's not happening is because I did not save this file. If you look up here, you see a little asterisk next to the file name. That means you have made changes and you have not saved them. So I'm going to hit Control S, which is quick save, and that's just going to save that file. Now, if I click back over a master model, you'll notice something happens. Okay, sometimes it'll pop up a little dialog box down here saying, hey, by the way, this is updated. You might want to reload it. It'll give you the option to reload it there. But also, if you look in your Xref file folder, files here, you'll see building model has a little asterisk. It says needs to be reloaded. If I expand this out a little bit, and then stretch this so you can see status, needs reloading. So if I right click on this, I can simply reload it. And now you can see that's there. Shade, and here we are. All right, let's bring up Navisworks. All right. What's nice about having a master model is Navisworks can actually read this drawing file, and you can navigate it pretty well. I can use the orbit command and kind of zoom in here and things like that, but I can't really push through the wall or anything like that. I can't navigate really well into this. That's why Navisworks is a really good tool. So I'm going to start Navisworks. It's loading. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I've set my one file. Let's see, make sure it's actually saved. Go back to AutoCAD and click on my master. And I'm going to make sure this is actually saved. It has to be saved because only thing that's in here are 4 Xrefs. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's all that's in here. If you look at the size of this file, it's 38.8 kilobytes. That means it's not a very big file. You can see the biggest one is the building model at 111 kilobytes. Okay, the rest of them are fairly small files. Actually, the piping model is bigger, 131. All right, typical piping. Okay, pipers will read this and say, hey man, that's not nice, but true. Okay, so I'm going to hit open, and I'm actually going to open a drawing file. One thing about Navisworks, if you're using Navisworks Freedom, you cannot open a D to a G. You can only open NWDs, which is a Navisworks design file. All right, so I'm going to go to my location, which is in my Dropbox, which is under development. And I'm going to go to AutoCAD class, model, and I'm going to go into complete models, not the one I want. I want to go into my master model, which is my one that uses Xrefs. I'm going to double click on that. It's going to load it up. Usually a file this size doesn't take very long to load. Okay, now in here you have navigation and everything else you can do. Like you can use the hand to kind of move things around. You can use this wheel here, which I'm not a big fan of orbiting. You can use orbit just like you use an AutoCAD there. I don't typically use that. I'll use the walk. What that means is if you press on the left button and drag forward, it just walks forward. Okay, you pull back, it walks back. Boom. All right. If you push the middle scroll button down, you go into paint kind of a strafe mode. You can strafe right and left. You can strafe up and down. If you move your mouse up, it goes up. You move your mouse down, it goes down. Okay, you move it right and left, and it strafes left and right. For you video gamers, you should understand the strafe command. Okay, so now if I tilt the wheel, if I roll the wheel back, it kind of changes my view. If I pull back, it pulls my head back. If I roll forward, it pushes my head forward. Some of you guys like to work in inverse. I prefer this particular mode, which is inverse. All right, so here's my pipe. All right, now I can actually push myself right through this wall, and I can see the other pipe that's actually out here. Okay, I can actually see my cable tray. It's coming through the wall here, and I can zoom in here, drag myself down, and I can walk around this pipe here and come over here. A couple of different things you can do in Navisworks as well is you can actually click on here and you put a third person in there, and then now you see it's suddenly see a person. You can also create collision, and you can create gravity. All right, so now I'm falling through because I don't have a floor. Okay, so I've fallen through and I don't have a floor, so I need to actually turn off gravity because that's not going to work very well. But now I can come back up. Notice he just rises on, rise on. All right, so now getting back closer to it. Now, if I try to walk through here, he gets stuck. But if I move over, he can walk through here. He can't walk through the pipes. He gets stuck on them. Okay. If it's small things, he'll walk up on them. All right. Actually, if I get up here and I rise up, now I can turn on gravity and you'll watch me fall to the ground, which is that slab right there. Gravity. And but now I'm on here. Of course, if I walk off, I'll fall to the world. Okay. So if I go here, then I'm falling. So just like a video game, you have these kind of weird things. Okay. So that's kind of how Navisworks works. Now, similarly, if you make any modifications in your file, Navisworks needs to be reloaded if you're going to change something. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off gravity and collision and all this weird stuff because I really don't ever use that. but I wanted at least had you guys familiar with it because the third person kind of gives you an idea of what size is and relevance to scale for you. All right. All right. So now let's go back to our AutoCAD drawing. Okay. We're going back to our master model. All right. This is a master model. Now we talked about doing something earlier where we talked about how we attach them. They're as attach. There's overlay and there's attach. All right. So what are we going to do? We're going to open up our electrical model. I'm going to right click and I'm going to open this. All right. Say if I have some conduit. All right. So I'm going to draw some conduit. All right. Line. And we're going to kind of cheat. And I'm just going to draw it a couple across here, boom here. And I'm just going to draw a circle. And we're going to draw it here. We're going to say 1.5 radius. It's 3-inch conduit. And I'm going to say sweep. Actually, going to fill it radius. Let's say 24. So here and here. This is a P line, correct? Yes. Now I'm going to sweep. And I'm going to sweep this across this. And now I have my piece of conduit here. All right. I'm not worried about hollowing out my conduit or anything like that. But that's actually down low. I like that. That's pretty good. So maybe I want to keep my cable tray separate and my conduit separate as well. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to actually just Control-Shift-C, 0, 0, and I'm going to grab my conduit. Now I'm working as an electrical guy right now. So I'm going to create a new drawing. And I'm going to Control-V. And I'm going to save that 0, 0, 0. Boom, I have a conduit in here. I need to rename this layer because it's actually on the tray layer. So I'm going to rename this to conduit F2. Conduit. Boom. All right, so we're good. Most of my electrical stuff is blue, so you kind of notice that little theme there. Hopefully you guys can see this. Shows up well enough on the screen. I know blue is kind of a hard color to see. All right, now I need to save as. And I'm going to go ahead and call this. We call that electrical model. We're going to call it electrical conduit. All right, but now I have that over here, so I don't need it over here anymore. So I'm going to erase it, delete that. Now something else here. This is tray. I have an electrical model and I have electrical conduit. So now I'm having an issue. I have to actually get this tray into its own file as well. So I'm going to Control-Shift-C, 0, 0. Notice the trend. I kind of use this a lot to do this. I'm going to click here, start a new drawing. Control-V, 0, 0. Boom, good sense. Save as. And this is going to be my electrical tray. Boom. All right, so now I have electrical tray, electrical conduit, and I have an electrical model. I can erase this now because I have that in another folder. I can purge everything out of here. So I have nothing. Purge all. Okay, close. Now I'm going to create a layer, and I'm going to create a layer called Xref. Actually, I'm just going to rename this F2 Xref. Not Xred. Okay, good. And close that. That's current. I'm good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and Xref in those two electrical folders. So Xref, and that's going to bring up, if you don't have this up already, I'll click here, and I'm going to add those two folders or two files into this file. Pick open. And I'm using this attach. They're going to 0, 0, 0. All good. Pick OK. And now that's all there. Did I miss one? I had not saved this one. Control save. All right. So now I need to go back over here, and now I should be able to, oh, I missed it. I must have not attached it. My bad. Electrical tray, pick open, and OK. All right, here we are. All right, so now we have electrical tray and conduit here. If I save this, boom, now go back to my master model. You see it says electrical model needs reloading. Watch what happens when I reload this. Reload. It loads the electrical model, the electrical conduit, and the electrical tray. Now over here, you see a little icon, shows tree view. You can show tree view. You can see how this works. If I had this set to overlay, electrical model overlay, electrical conduit and electrical tray would not come in because it would only bring in the electrical model. And of course, there's actually nothing in that model except those two Xrefs. So it wouldn't actually effectively bring anything in. So this is why you have to understand the difference between overlay and reference, or attach, my bad. And so the benefit of attachment is it'll bring in everything below that. Okay, the difficulty of that is if you have something if you're in tray and I reference in piping model and then I open the building model, you could start getting circular references, and we want to try and avoid that. AutoCAD will do its best to try and maintain that, but it will slow things up when you have circular references in your files. So there's some benefits to overlay and there's some benefits to attach as well. So you're gonna have to figure out what your environment you're working in and make sure you stick with it. Okay, the environment I'm currently working with at the company I work at, we typically use everything as overlay, and we'll just go grab all the files that we need and attach them individually rather than using a master model method. Okay. Next class, we'll probably get into a different type of model method in this one. Then we're going for master child right here. Same thing could happen in piping. So you might have different types of piping. You may have main piping, you may have some control piping, you may have some instrument air, you may have gas lines, you may have some kind of, drain lines or whatever, and they may all been individual files. And then that piping model would reference in all those individual piping sets, because if you have a group of pipers working, so you have one guy working on drains, one guy's working on fuel gas, one guy's working on instrument air, and one guy's working on main process piping, then you can have 4 different files and 4 different processes going in that effort. And so they could actually all be working and developing this model at the same time, instead of one person having to work on that one particular file. On a massive job, you might end up with that kind of thing. You might actually break it into areas and such like that. Similarly with the building, you could have steel, you could have columns, you could break this up into have all kinds of different parts and pieces of this particular thing here as well. All right, so before we get too far along, I want to actually go ahead and start a drawing with a title block, okay? And I'm going to click here. We're going to do insert. Oh, we actually do dash insert title. Then we get set that as 0,0. Oops, actually I'm in model space. I want to go to layout mode right here. We go to layout and erase all. That's the default viewport that comes in. I'm going to dash insert. My title block in med is a default called title. I'm just going to set it here. I think it's a 22 by 34. Boom. And there's the values. I'm going to pick OK. All right. So we can have a title block in here. Now I need a viewport into this place. So I'm going to type in mview. This allows me to create a viewport. I'm going to go ahead and create one from endpoint of here down to endpoint of here. That leaves me a little bit of space down here to do some miscellaneous stuff. And what it does by default is zooms extents, and there's nothing in this drawing, so I'm okay. Hit a 7, turn that off. I'm going to double click out here to get out of the viewport. I'm going to go back to model space. Now from here, I'm going to type in layer. I'm going to create an Xref layer, because I'm going to bring in an Xref. Okay, and I actually want to set that to current. I forgot to do that there. Xref. All right, so now I can click attach. And I can go ahead and now I can cheat. I can grab the master model, and that's going to bring in everything with it. Okay, I pick open, attach. That means it's going to bring all the files in. I don't have to grab any other Xrefs. It's going to bring them in automatically. Pick OK. 0, 0, we're all good. Zoom sense. And now you see this model. Now, if I click over here, now if I double click in here and I zoom out, now I can see everything in here. Now, if I just scroll out and do that, then I'm like, hey, I got my stuff in here. I can start drawing stuff and making it happen. Wrong. We don't know what the scale of this viewport is. Okay, you click on this viewport here, you scroll down, it just says standard scale, custom. All right, so we want to make that something decent. So we can kind of scroll through a few things here. We can look at 1/8 inch. 1/8 inch is not bad. We can do 3/32, which honestly I hate that particular measurement, but it does work. You can go 3/16. You can fit that on there. You do 1/4 inch, and you're kind of bumping out. Notice it doesn't fit everything in there. 1/4 inch is actually a really good scale though. Okay, I could kind of scooch this up a little bit and probably get that to work. So I'm going to click on 1/4 inch scale. I'm going to leave that on. And now I'm going to double click in here, and I'm going to use the pan method, which is just pushing down on my scroll wheel. And I'm going to kind of move this around. The second I zoom out or zoom in, I screw up the scale of this. But right now, everything is fine because all I did was pan. So I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to click the viewport, and I'm going to lock that viewport so it's not messing up that view. So now it's going to stay at 1/4 inch equals a foot. All right. Now that'd be the first thing you want to come down here is put the scale down here and put that 1/4 inch equals foot. I'm going to double click on that and say 1/4 inch equals 1 foot dash 0 inches. Boom. And now I know. All right. So that's good. All right. So that's 1/4 inch equals foot. You can see I have conduit. I have all this stuff here. Now, if I plot this drawing, all this stuff kind of looks the same. It bleeds together. I don't really know what's what. I don't know what's mine or whatever it is. If this is an electrical drawing, all I want to stand out is my electrical. All right. Now, something else about line types and things like that. If this is underground and this is above ground, I might want these things to show up a little bit differently. All right. And so you might want these line types here on this one to be hidden or something like that. We'll get into a little bit more of that later, but for right now, I'm just going to kind of show you how to actually change things up. Now, if you do the layer command now you'll notice you have quite a few layers now. We don't have just a few layers. You see all these that are kind of grayed out? Those are Xref layers. If you notice, they have the name of the file and then a vertical bar and then the actual layer name next to it. Okay, so if you click on the Xref tree over here, you can scroll this out a little bit and you can see the building model, and these are just the ones inside the building model. If I click on Xref, it shows me all Xrefs. I can Control A, highlight all these. Okay, boom, I'm going to hit Shift and control here. Now, if I want everything to be gray, now if I'm clicking on viewport color, avoid that. Okay, I will get into that later, but stick with the main color. This is going to change everything in this file to this color. So I'm going to set this to 9. Okay, now everything is grayed out and it's kind of boring. Okay, but my stuff is the electrical stuff. I want that stuff to stand out. Let's go back to the layer command and we can kind of expand on this, and I can click on electrical conduit and I can say, hey, I'd like that to be a better color. Say I want that to stand out, and yellow happens to be my thick plotting color. I'll pick yellow there, and I can go to my tray model and do the similar things here. I can highlight all these, boom. I can set these all to yellow, boom. But if I look at this med center, that one's not supposed to plot, so I'm going to turn that off to no plot. And I'm actually going to set that back to a white color because I really don't care. It's not going to plot anyway, and we're all good. All right, med tray, boom, boom, boom. All right, we're good. So, okay. And now my stuff plot stands out. What's nice about this is if I plot this drawing now and I have my pin table set up correctly, this will actually come out thicker than all this other stuff, and my stuff will stand out because I want people to see that there's a building. I want them to see there's pipe, and I want them to see there's a concrete pad here, but I also want them to understand the things I'm trying to highlight in my drawing is the tray and the conduit. These are the things they're going to focus on, and I'm going to annotate those things to show those things. Like if I put a leader here and I point down this and I come here, and then I'm going to place some text here. This is 1/8 inch text, and I'll say 3-inch conduit. All right, I cheated there, used a list routine to use upcase that thing. Okay, I might do the same thing here. I'll use an arrowhead leader here. This is another list routine that's part of med, and I'm just using that. You can use a multi-leader or a leader command, lots of different things to get through these things for you. Now, at this point, I could copy this to maintain consistency and then drag and drop that over here just like that, and then call this 24-inch cable tray. If I can type. All right, and that's some of the annotation we have going there. Okay, now other annotation is important when you're drawing these things. I'm just showing you crude annotation at this point. Conduit, you'd want to know the size. You'd probably want to know it's underground. You might want to know a tag and a few other things. So cable tray, you might want to know the elevation of that because this is a plan view. You don't necessarily know the elevation of it. You might want to actually highlight and tell somebody what that elevation is going to be. You also might want to have a tag for that as well. So there's different symbols and things like that that we will tag things with as well. All right. We're not going to get into that right now, but I wanted you to understand how the model structure works and using viewports, Xrefs, and then a title block, and then bringing it all together. That's kind of been the gist of this particular lesson. If you look inside the model, if I rotate this out, I can even shade this. Boom. Oops. If you type shade, and you still see it goes to these particular colors. Yeah, we've also talked a little bit, may have talked briefly about how you can actually use transparency in your layers as well. Say you wanted to see through the building, you can click on building. Now, anything I do to the layers in here only are affected in this drawing, not in the actual model file. All right, so I go over here, transparency, click that, and I can crank that to 70%, boom, and now I'll be able to see through the building. Maybe. Did I not do it? Building one. Oh, I missed. That was bad. 70. Okay, and now you can kind of see through it. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of transparency so you kind of get an idea of where things are and everything else. When you're dealing in shaded mode, it's a little harder to pick some of your O snaps and things like that. So you'll definitely want to go to shade mode and set that to 2D. And then you can actually pick things a little bit better. All right. All right, guys, I think I'm going to stop with this. And this one, actually, I'm going to go ahead and save this as, and we're going to bump this up because we don't save this in the model folder. I'm going to call this working with models. Oops. Working model. All right, so there we go. And this is what the model space would look like, but the layout is here. All right. So that'll help you kind of understand how a model system works. You have a master model, you Xref in all your models that go with it, and you have the choice between overlay and attach. Okay, overlay brings in just one level of a model. It does not bring anything in down below it. Okay, building model, electrical conduit, electrical tray. I kind of spread a few things out. I also created a drawing for you to actually Xref things in and bring those things in. We've discussed scale a little bit, and that's about it. All right, guys, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop the recording.